As Kuruluş Osman builds momentum toward episode 191, we are entering a period of narrative transition that demands close attention. Recent episodes have introduced layered conflicts and uncertain allegiances, setting the stage for major revelations and confrontations. The central themes of justice, leadership, betrayal, and spiritual destiny continue to evolve, particularly in Osman Bey's personal and political journey. The previous episode ended with rising tension between Osman Bey and both his external enemies and internal detractors. The Tekfirs, though shaken by earlier defeats, are regrouping under new alliances, while internal conflicts among the Beys raise concerns about unity within the Turkish camp. Idodu's rising influence, possibly supported by Selçuk remnants or Mongol sympathizers, hints at a destabilizing force that may challenge Osman's authority from within. In this atmosphere, one critical plot point that demands scrutiny is Bala Hatun's increased involvement in political matters. Her quiet observance of power dynamics in recent episodes suggests she might soon take a more direct role, possibly forming secret alliances with women of other tribes or beyliks. Her empathy and wisdom have always balanced Osman's strategic mind. Will we soon see her taking a decisive step to counter potential betrayals? Could she be preparing for a spiritual or diplomatic initiative that shifts the power dynamics? Another developing thread is the mysterious behavior of Alaeddin Bey. His expressions in key scenes suggest he's wrestling with an internal dilemma, possibly regarding loyalty, ambition, or a concealed truth he's yet to share. His character arc seems to be reaching a crossroads. Could episode 191 mark the beginning of Alaeddin stepping into a more assertive, possibly controversial, role? Episode 191 is likely to delve into a central theme that has persisted since the beginning of Kuruluş Osman, loyalty. But this time, loyalty isn't just a question of allegiance to Osman, it's about divided hearts, conflicting values, and dangerous silences within the tribe. Let's start with Malhun Hatun. Her recent reserved demeanor hasn't gone unnoticed. Historically, she's been Osman's strongest political ally and the mother of Orhan, the heir apparent. But with Orhan's sudden exit from the narrative, likely due to actor-related reasons, Malhun's position may shift into a more uncertain space. The writers might now explore the emotional toll this departure takes on her and how it affects her trust in Osman's decisions, especially if Osman begins promoting Alaeddin into more prominent leadership. Here's the twist: could Malhun, feeling sidelined or isolated, align herself, consciously or not, with dissenting voices among the Beys? Not out of treachery, but from a need to assert her son's legacy or regain agency. The show has historically avoided turning core characters into outright villains. Still, subtle defiance or indirect resistance may be in store, raising a crucial dilemma for Osman: how to maintain authority while holding his family together. Meanwhile, Turgut Bey's recent resurgence suggests unfinished business. His relationship with Osman has always swung between fierce loyalty and occasional disagreement. Turgut operates on principles, not blind obedience. In episode 191, he may be put in a position where he must choose between supporting Osman's risky diplomatic outreach or backing a more confrontational approach favored by more militant Beys like Konar Alp. Here lies the setup for potential conflict. What if Osman's next move involves negotiating with a controversial ally, perhaps even a former Tekfir or an exiled Turk, while Turgut and others see this as weakness or betrayal? And speaking of betrayal, don't rule out the return of a character presumed gone or defeated. Historically, Kuruluş Osman has played with such twists. Remember Zohr Hatun or Gehatu's extended influence. A minor character from the past, perhaps a Tekfir's former servant, a disgraced Bey, or even a Byzantine noble hiding in plain sight, could emerge, having infiltrated Osman's domain under a new identity. This is a common tactic the show uses to shake up court dynamics. A major development might also center around the newly settled lands. If Osman grants beylik or land to a controversial figure, jealousy and factionalism could erupt. This would provide the perfect narrative vehicle to expose dormant hostilities among the Beys and create a crisis that tests Osman's vision for a unified state. As Kuruluş Osman progresses toward episode 191, the battlefield is no longer limited to open plains and fortified castles, it's also in whispers, shadows, and unspoken intentions. The threat of physical warfare is still present, but psychological warfare is now the dominant theme, especially with the Tekfir's changing tactics and the Seljuk remnants seeking to manipulate from behind the scenes. A highly anticipated development could be the introduction of a new tekfur, someone more diplomatic and manipulative than the predecessors. Instead of charging with armies, this character may seek to divide the Turks from within, offering peace treaties, false marriages, or even sanctuary to defectors. If Osman accepts such an offer under political pressure, it might spark dissent among his closest allies. And here's where a real twist could unfold: a fake peace treaty. Imagine Osman, eager to protect the people and buy time, agrees to a truce. But hidden within this agreement is a clause that undermines his authority, perhaps giving away jurisdiction over a critical trade route or allowing Byzantine agents access to Kei-controlled lands. The fallout from such a misstep would be immediate and brutal, especially from Turgut, Konar, and other warriors who view such diplomacy as dishonor. Meanwhile, there's growing suspicion that a new informant has infiltrated Osman's inner circle. The strange timing of attacks, ambushes, and preemptive moves by the tekfur suggests someone is feeding them intelligence. The show might tease several potential suspects, maybe even someone close to Aledin, or a servant in Malhan or Bala's household. The betrayal may not come from malice but from fear, blackmail, or even misguided patriotism. Also worth noting is the mysterious silence of certain characters like Kamral Abdul. A spiritual guide and longtime supporter of Osman, his current narrative absence feels intentional. Could he be on a secret mission? Or perhaps, is he tending to hidden knowledge that will be crucial in a future prophecy or vision Osman needs to fulfill? In many previous arcs, dreams and divine guidance served as turning points. Episode 191 might reintroduce this element, perhaps through a vision Osman receives, warning him of an imminent betrayal or calling him to reconsider his strategy. One potential wildcard is a secret alliance forming between minor beyliks who feel ignored under Osman's expanding authority. The show has always highlighted the tension between unity and independence among Turkish tribes. In the next episode, these smaller factions might voice their grievances, or worse, begin to organize resistance. Osman might be forced into a council where his leadership is challenged, perhaps even by someone who once pledged full loyalty. As we move closer to episode 191, one cannot ignore the growing cracks beneath the surface of Osman Bey's power. While he continues to fight for unity and justice, the internal dynamics of the Kei tribe and its surrounding allies suggest that his vision might face its most serious test yet, not from the enemy's sword, but from his friend's ambitions. Let's begin with a strategic observation. Kuruluş Osman has long relied on the balance between Osman's visionary leadership and the pragmatic support of trusted allies like Turgut Bey, Konar Alp, and the loyal dervishes. But as Osman's empire grows, so does the pressure from regional power players, especially those who feel left out of the decision-making process. The next episode may show Osman Bey convening a Beyler Meclisi, Council of Beys, either to discuss a crucial alliance or to pass judgment on suspected betrayal. These councils are politically charged environments. We might see minor beys speak more boldly than ever before, demanding greater autonomy or accusing Osman of prioritizing his bloodline over merit. One or more may even question his recent moves, whether it's settling new tribes, promoting Aledin, or making peace overtures to dangerous outsiders. And in the middle of all this is Aledin Bey, whose transformation arc seems to be accelerating. He's always been introspective, loyal, and strategic, but recent facial expressions and body language hint that he's stepping out of Osman's shadow. Could this be the episode where he asserts himself in the council? Or perhaps challenges a rival bey on his father's behalf, exposing fault lines in the unity Osman has carefully built? Another tension point may emerge between Bala Hatun and Malhan Hatun. While both have remained outwardly cooperative, the disappearance of Orhan and the slow promotion of Aledin could create silent rivalry. Even a small disagreement, about matters like tribal education, military appointments, or family honor, could snowball into a larger confrontation that splits loyalties among women and children of the tribe. In the background, the Seljuk influence may rise again. A figure claiming legitimacy from the old order could step forward, challenging Osman's authority to rule without full Seljuk approval. This wouldn't necessarily be a military threat but a political one, sowing doubt among tribes that still cling to imperial structures. This challenge might take the form of a letter, a messenger, or a returning figure who once served the sultans. Let's also not forget the possibility of a ritual or spiritual test. The show may introduce a symbolic trial, perhaps a sacred relic discovered, a prophecy invoked, or a divine dream presented, that forces Osman to reconsider his current alliances. Qamrul Abdul, if he returns, might be the bearer of such news. Now, some speculative questions for discussion. Will Aladdin assert himself as more than Osman's obedient son? Could a council of beys turn against Osman under the pressure of fear and ambition? Are Malhun and Bala on the verge of a subtle ideological clash? This next episode might not bring the loudest battle, but it could bring the most consequential decisions. Episode 191 may be a tipping point, not only for Osman Bey but for the future of the state he dreams of building. The series has reached a level of complexity where internal politics, spiritual messages, and external enemies all converge, and the decisions Osman makes next will either secure his legacy or fracture the fragile unity he's built. One particularly dangerous development could come from the return of a previously banished or presumed dead character. The show has set a precedent for this. Characters re-emerge, sometimes transformed by revenge or redemption. Imagine someone like Bahadur Bey, or even a Tekfur-turned-Muslim, returning under a false identity to get close to Osman's inner circle. If such a character has gained the trust of key figures, perhaps even Qamrul Abdul or Aladdin, we may see major betrayal unfold right under Osman's nose. Another potential storyline revolves around a failed military campaign. While Osman has had many victories, the narrative logic of Kuruluş Osman suggests that a major loss might be imminent to shake the foundations of the tribe. It doesn't have to be a massive defeat, perhaps a failed ambush, a village lost, or the betrayal of a supposed ally. But such an event would sow fear and chaos, especially among the younger fighters who have only known Osman's success. In parallel, there is the looming question of succession and legacy. With Orhan no longer in the story, at least for now, all eyes are on Aladdin. However, this sudden shift may not sit well with everyone. A segment of the tribe may see Aladdin as too inexperienced or too soft. Could this be the episode where Aladdin is forced to prove himself, not just intellectually or politically, but on the battlefield or in a moment of crisis? Let's also consider the Tekfur's next move. Their failure to defeat Osman in direct conflict means they may now use Osman's enemies against him. The Byzantines have historically relied on manipulation, marriage alliances, and even forging letters and seals to spread misinformation. Episode 191 might contain a moment where Osman receives false information, such as news of a betrayal or assassination plot that turns him against the wrong person, possibly even one of his own allies. And if we're thinking long-term, what if this entire upcoming arc is a setup for an internal coup attempt? Not a massive rebellion, but a small faction within the tribe deciding they know better than Osman. A group of young warriors, manipulated by a charismatic outsider, might begin to doubt Osman's path and attempt to carve their own. The seeds could be planted in episode 191, with small acts of insubordination or secret meetings in the woods.